Golf Club. So welcome, Dan and Dave.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'll give a little bit more background on myself and David here for a second, and we'll get into the heart of the conversation. So I'm probably seen most of you guys over the years, but I started at the Memorial Tournament as a bartender and waiter in 1986. And then I was an intern in 87, and then I came back in 91 as sales and marketing. And I've been a part of the Memorial Tournament ever since. So I've been able to be fortunate to see all these great tournaments and see the growth of not only the Memorial, but Dublin and Columbus. I became the director in 2001, and really fortunate to be able to work alongside Jack Nicklaus and his family over the years. Jack and Steve, his second oldest son, and I created a company back in 2001 with a gentleman named John Hines, who was my predecessor as the tournament director, called H&S Sports Group, and we run tournaments around the country. We do it all out of Dublin here, and really fortunate to have this great, incredible tournament as a backdrop to my career. And Mike did a nice job of introducing David. He has been a part of the Memorial Tournament as much as I have over the years, and probably as long. And our both claim to fame is we both went to Miami, Ohio. We didn't know each other there, but we went to Miami, Ohio.
That was the undefeated Miami of Ohio.
Love and honor, exactly right.
Love and
you
honor.
got it. So David, as Mike pointed out, is an incredibly accomplished writer in general, focused on golf from the beginning, and has created a number of books, not only for Jack Nicklaus, but for Arnold Palmer. And we're really fortunate to be able to celebrate our 50th anniversary by having David be the writer of what's ultimately going to be a 400-page book that gives the history of the Memorial Tournament, but also Muirfield Village Golf Club. So why don't we start there, David? And
Absolutely.
why don't you give a little background on how Jack came up with this idea when he was a really young dude, and what he created way back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Sure. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. Well, it all started really with just 1959 when Jack went to the Masters for the first time and fell in love with the place immediately, as most people do. By 1964, when Columbus hosted the PGA Championship at Columbus Country Club, he saw a really successful golf tournament, well attended, set records for attendance. Unfortunately, he finished second to a gentleman named Bobby Nichols. He tied with some other guy named Arnold Palmer. And but it was instructive to him because he saw that Columbus, which had had a PGA Tour event for, I think, 3 years, he saw that Columbus would support a professional golf tournament and be enthusiastic about it. By 1966, when he was at the Masters, he really wanted to get that idea in motion and make it happen. And he asked a gentleman named Ivor Young to go find some property for him. And eventually he found that property down the road. Am I pointing in the right direction here?
You are.
Okay.
Yeah,
And here he is. That's where he got his first piece of property purchased in September of 66. And all the way to where he finally, got enough land and got the financing and made it happen.
That's exactly right. So that was let's call it 66 through 72.
Mm-hmm.
They started building the golf course 71, 72, with the golf course opening in 74.
Correct.
And then the first Memorial Tournament in 1976. Talk about Jack as an early designer, young. I mean, again, he's really young. He started, when he looked at this property, he was 28. 26.
Yes.
And incredible, truly incredible. And then, so the golf course opened when he was 32, tournament 34. And Jack, as a young designer, this was his first full 18 with kind of serious contribution. He had a couple others before that.
Yeah, he only had one other golf course, I think, where he actually maybe did it himself, and I think that was up in Canada. But that was at almost the same time he was designing Muirfield Village, and he had gotten a bit of an apprentice, you might say, apprenticeship with another designer named Pete Dye. Any guys heard of Pete Dye? He's an Ohioan, born and bred in Urbana, right? Yep. And Pete Dye was designing the golf club in New Albany and asked Jack Nicklaus in 1965 And building this golf course, I really would like your opinion on, how you think I'm doing. Jack's like, I don't know anything about design. That's okay. You're a great golfer. We want your opinion on that. So Jack went out there, gave him a few tips. They decided, hey, why don't we work on a few things together? And Jack and Pete Dye did 9 golf courses together. And Jack figured that was enough of sort of a, being the understudy. And this really was his first design that was almost entirely his own.
Earlier this week, again, we had a chance to visit with Jack and Jackie, who were in town, which we're really fortunate. I mean, anytime Jack comes in town, we have a chance to visit with him, and he communicated not only during our event on Tuesday, the Legends Luncheon, but then on our media day on Wednesday, just about how he saw the beginning of it. And I may not get these exact numbers right, but what he did communicate is that the total property that he accumulated with a number of other people, first he had to go get help from the Ohio company to make it all work, because it wasn't going to happen without somebody coming in publicly and helping him figure this out. He accumulated around 2,100 acres. Do I have that right?
Just about, almost
Yeah.
that. Almost.
And of the golf course is on 220 acres.
Right.
So they bought this massive piece of property that no one was around. I think Dublin had 500 people in it at the time.
Maybe
500. And so just really some foresight, and actually maybe a little crazy to go out and buy 2,200 acres and build a golf course where no one lived. And so in the end, what he did was he took the real estate side of the equation and handed it over to his partners and said, I don't want anything to do with it. I just want the golf course. And so he started shaping that 220 acres into what we see today. He's had a number of partners along the way to make it happen, a few inflection points early on, but ultimately he created this world-class golf course that is routinely ranked in the top 20 in the country, top 30 in the country, depending on who you talk to, and world-renowned as a place to come and compete. So incredible that he was able to have that foresight to do that. Incredible that he was able to withstand some headwinds from a business perspective and make it all work. So in 1976, he started the tournament, and I'll go on for a second just on how he created it, and you back me up.
Sure.
Or correct me. So Jack's idea was to bring something like the Masters to his hometown of Columbus. He picked Dublin, or outside Dublin, as a place to make it happen. And he had some ideas in mind on how to make sure this golf course stood the test of time, or golf tournament stood the test of time. So in the beginning, he referred to the first commissioner of the PGA Tour. His name was Joe Dye, really respected USGA leader for years. As the new commissioner of the PGA Tour, he looked at Jack Nicklaus and said, if you're going to do a tournament, why don't you honor some of the greats of the game? That's not done right now in professional golf or in golf tournaments in general. You're an icon in the game already at a young age. Why don't you go ahead and do that? And Jack thought that was a great idea. So he and his partners who created the tournament came up with some just 3 really simple ideas. They wanted to make sure that they honored somebody every single year, a contributor to the game. It doesn't have to be a player. So it's either a player or administrator. Somebody's done really significant to the game. Started out by honoring Bobby Jones, his idol, in the first tournament in '76. And then want to make sure that this golf tournament appeals to as broad of an audience as possible. Okay, so showcase it to as many people. He wanted to make sure this golf course and golf tournament was appealing to his peers, the top players in the world, to come play in it. He wanted to make sure that it was a place where patrons could walk around with ease and see a golf tournament and not have to struggle to watch. And from a design standpoint, if you go out to Muirfield Village, when you're watching the golf tournament, it's really a top-down golf course. So you walk around above here, and the fairways are lower, and the greens are a little bit lower. Everyone's got a vantage point from top down, so they don't have to look up to see the competition. And then he wanted to make sure that anybody who's watching, back then television wasn't as prominent as today, but watching was a really competitive environment, a really strong golf course that tested the top players. and he's been able to accomplish that. So that's on the showcase side. And then the last one is support, local community. He wanted to make sure that charities were benefiting from this tournament in some way, in some really significant way. And way back then, it wasn't as prominent as it is today. Hopefully you guys hear us talk about charity a lot with this tournament. We really focus on trying to make sure that that's one of our centerpiece conversations. But back in 1976 on the PGA Tour, it wasn't as prevalent as it is today. But he and Barbara decided to align themselves with Columbus Children's Hospital. They had already had the relationship by doing pro-ams over previous pro-ams over the years and having a connection with the Twigs at Columbus Children's Hospital and gaining that volunteer base. And so from the beginning, they had this thought that if they're going to have charity be supported, they want it to be towards children's healthcare. And what we've been able to do with that over the years is frankly really rewarding for us personally and for the tournament. It's a nice feather in the cap. We're over $60 million in general, $45 million to Nationwide Children's Hospital last year. We distributed over $5 million to Nationwide Children's Hospital, which we're really proud of, and we're going to keep on growing that. So in the end, how Jack created this tournament, it was honor, showcase, and support back 50 years ago, and we try to keep that going today as a really simple mindset of how we go about creating this tournament. Want to add anything there?
Nope, but thanks for having us. Appreciate it. He did a nice job of a nice summation there of everything that Jack wanted to accomplish and set out to do. One of the most significant things, and Dan touched on it a little bit, was treating the players like he wanted to be treated, and he even talked about that the other day. So when he was talking about starting a tournament that would be like the Masters, he meant that everything that he could think of would have just be as excellent as it could be, would have that kind of a stature and level of excellence to, not only, take care of the players on the golf course with a great golf course, but also all of the amenities and things off the golf course and so forth. And then, of course, we were talking about Jack being so young when he designed the golf course. This is the first of its kind in the world. When Dan mentioned the, being able to watch a golf tournament from above with the golf course below. It's now called basically a stadium golf course type concept. But Jack invented it. Nobody had done it. And, all of a sudden people who were having to do this and looking over heads or between heads or whatever to see a golf tournament, they didn't have to do that anymore. And that was a big deal to him to be able to present the golf tournament in a way that people could enjoy it in a way they hadn't before.
That's exactly right. So I want to talk a little bit I'm going to talk a minute about this group called the Captain's Club and what they do each year, and then I'm going to ask you to talk about some of our honorees.
Sure.
Just the system of the honorees. So again, Jack, way back when, took an advice from Joe Dye to create this entity called the Captain's Club, who are leaders within the golf industry, either administrators or players. That group today is about 25 individuals. That includes Jim Nance, Tom Watson, Paul Azinger, Julie Inkster, Judy Rankin, Fred Ridley from Augusta National. Really prominent people who lead this sport. They come together once a year. We have a meeting. In the meeting, we talk about the world of golf and what's happening and how this group can contribute positively towards that. But at the center of it is a decision on who the next honoree is. This year we have David Graham. Last year we had Barbara Nicholas. It was about as popular as you get last year with Barbara being the honoree. But David Graham and a gentleman named Alan Robertson, who predated all of us by a few years. I think he was the first professional golfer in 1810.
Yeah, he never wanted an interview with me his whole life.
Exactly. But this group of honorees each year is something, again, very distinct to the Memorial Tournament, distinct to Jack Nicklaus, and we try to uphold it every single year as a way to just separate ourselves and talk about some of those honorees.
Well, we go back, and you mentioned Bobby Jones, and I mean, there was probably few people in golf who were more influential than Jones, except maybe Jack Nicklaus. And over the years, there have been great players honored. Arnold Palmer, of course, Gary Player, Gene Sarazen, Sam Snead, Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, and of course some of those people like a Byron Nelson, who's just one of the all-time greats. He served on the Captain's Club. So not only have we honored great players and great folks over time, including Joe Dye. Joe Dye was an honoree in 1992. But we have honored just a significant number of players who have then also contributed to the Captain's Club. One of my favorites, and of all time on the Captain's Club, was Sir Sean Connery, who, of course, beat Goldfinger on a famous golf match. That was real, right? Everybody know that was real? Okay. And but he was on the Captain's Club, and just you think about Bing Crosby and Bob Hope and all the other celebrities who have served on the Captain's Club too. So we have honored great players, great people, and the Captain's Club also has been filled with significant contributors to the game.
Yeah, no question. Let's talk about the winners for a minute here. So we're really fortunate to have some of the most prominent players in the game from '76 forward. Tiger Woods has won it 5 times. Jack Nicklaus won it twice. Scotty Scheffler is a 2-time defending champion as of right now. What we're most proud of, and I think Jack is proud of this as well, is that this tournament tends to separate the good players from the average players in competition. And although we've had our share of maybe not household names, the far majority are household names that are great players who have achieved great things in major championships in the Hall of Fame. And instead of going through every winner for the last 50 years, why don't you call out a couple that just come to mind as the most prominent?
Sure. We've had 38 different winners of the Memorial. And, of course, Tiger with 5, Kenny Perry with 3. Those are the leaders in the clubhouse. But you look at Jack won it twice. Hale Irwin, who 3-time U.S. Open champion, won it twice. Greg Norman won it twice. Tom Watson won it twice. Those are, by themselves, some of the best players you can think of. Then I look at Raymond Floyd, Curtis Strange. Who else we're missing? Ernie Els in the modern era has won it. So is Jim Furyk, who's also on the Captain's Club now. So we've had, a lot of major champions. I think altogether, the major champions have won like 70 majors or something.
I think that's right.
About that. So it always brings out the best. I always like what Raymond Floyd, one of the Hall of Fame golfers, 4-time major winner, said. When he won the Memorial in 1982, he had expressed frustration with that he couldn't play the golf course the way he thought he should. And it really vexed him because he always prided himself on being a very intelligent golfer, not just a good ball striker. And then when he figured it out, it actually was one of the more meaningful wins of his career because he felt like this was one of the ultimate tests that he had faced. And that was a big deal. So Dan's 100% right. It brings out the best in the best players. And you really do have to play. I think Scotty only shot, maybe 10 under last year, or 8 under?
10 under.
He only broke 70 once. I mean, but he did break par all 4 rounds, and they were in really different conditions. That was the ultimate test of golf last year, and the best player won.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So if I think about overtime, some of my favorite wins, Paul Azinger for sure. Payne Stewart was extremely popular. That was 1993. Payne Stewart, extremely popular player. Azinger, maybe not so much, but incredibly dramatic on the 18th when he hole a bunker shot. I think about Scotty in these last 2 wins over the last 2 years. There's a lot of comparison between Scotty and Jack and how he plays the golf course, and maybe how Jack relates to Scotty. Mm-hmm. You have any thought on that?
No, absolutely. I think that, and Jack even expressed that a little bit, that he understood sort of the mentality that Scotty had, how he really plays very intelligently. He plays to, the safe side of greens. If he doesn't have great angles, he if he does make a mistake off the tee or something, he puts himself in position to make a par. I mean, if that wasn't Jack Nicklaus to a tee, is figuring out how to make a par. I mean, nobody let go of trying to make a par more than Jack Nicklaus did. He just would not let it go. And therefore, Jack made pars a lot of times when you wouldn't think he could. And that's where Scotty is in in golf right now is he tends to limit his mistakes. And Muirfield Village will punish mistakes. You have to hit it on the right side of greens or the right tiers. You've got to be in the fairway, even sometimes not even just being in the fairway, but being on the correct side of the fairway to have an angle. And then Muirfield Village is a second shot golf course, just like Augusta National. Jack designed it that way. So therefore, it is all set up by the tee shots. And, if you play it correctly, as Scotty did and can do, you're going to win. But that's also why you see some other different winners. Curtis Strange was not a long hitter at all. And he won the Memorial Tournament because he played to, the right sides of the greens. He got it in the fairway. Tom Lehman won here with a record 20 under, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Played phenomenal golf for 4 days. It can be done, but it's very hard to do.
All right, here's a question for you.
Sure.
Which do you think the players are more attracted to here? The milkshake or the purse? Because I hear both.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the milkshakes are phenomenal, and the golf course is, always in the best shape. One of the best golf courses in terms of conditioning on the PGA Tour, and it has been since the start. In fact, from the beginning, when guys showed up here in 1976, they were afraid to take divots on the driving range because it was just so
It was
pristine.
the first time that any players on the PGA Tour didn't have to pay for their range ball.
That's correct.
That Jack gave them free range balls. That was a big thing.
It was a big thing.
Yeah.
And Gary McCord stole several dozen of them.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you guys ever see Tin Cup? Have you seen Tin Cup? He's on the driving range and he's like, these are brand new Titleists. And he tells Cheech Marin, his caddy, why don't you stick a few in our golf bag when nobody's looking? Well, that came from Gary McCord in this tournament. McCord kept taking golf balls off the range. Now, they weren't Titleists, but they were whatever. They probably were McGregor's or the golf balls of the year. Yeah. And, of course, one day Gary did come clean and tell Jack that. But anyway, where were we? I just lost my train of thought.
You did great with that one. We're going to depart from the memorial for a second and just talk about the other events that have come through Muirfield. So I've been fortunate enough, as I said before, I was an intern for the '87 Ryder Cup. I was a salesperson for the '98 Sullivan Cup and the '92 U.S. Amateur. And then I was really fortunate to be the director for the 2013 President's Cup. So I'm really fortunate to be a part of all these things throughout my career. And from an insider perspective, kind of grinding away every day at it, couldn't have been more special to, if you're a fan of sports marketing, if you're a fan of bringing people together and celebrating something, I don't care what sport it is, these are really unique events that we had a chance to host. And it's because of what Jack created and because of the way this community, Dublin and greater, supports events that we're able to have these things here. And so we're the only golf course, Muirfield Village Golf Club is the only golf course to have hosted the Sullivan Cup, the President's Cup, and the Ryder Cup. Correct. In the world. And I think that's a really nice distinction. And you have any thoughts related to that?
Well, I was at the '87 Ryder Cup, which tells you how old I am as well. And my first memorial was '86. But I think that really, when they had the Ryder Cup, it was fairly predictable in a way that Jack would get a Ryder Cup here, given his history with the Ryder Cup, his creation of, or his idea where they invited the European players. In 1977, he went to Lord Derby in England and said, hey, we really love the Ryder Cup, but we're kind of tired of winning so easily. Well, that doesn't happen anymore, and you can blame Jack Nicklaus or you can grab Jack Nicklaus. But in the end, 10 years later, Jack Nicklaus has a Ryder Cup here. And but the true test, I think, of the greatness of Muirfield Village as a venue for any type of golf tournament is the Solheim Cup in 1998, because you couldn't set it up like a PGA Tour event. There was, it's women's golf. There's going to be different things about the women's game, distances and so forth, and yet that was one of the biggest attractions for the LPGA and Karsten Solheim, who was sponsoring the event, was that Muirfield Village could have a women's event on what is essentially a men's championship golf course. and have it be as proper a test as it would be for any memorial tournament or whatever. And they even said that in the run up to it, that this golf tournament will be defined. This event, the Sullivan Cup, will be defined better by Muirfield Village than any other place we've been.
Yeah, no question it was. And we're hopeful that we're able to continue that down the road. We don't have any plans right now for another international event. We've pitched Dublin and Columbus and Muirfield Village Golf a couple times to bring a President's Cup back. We were outbid by, only because they haven't been to these markets. Chicago, which is this year, and then St. Louis. Those two markets have never had the President's Cup, and the PGA Tour kind of saw through the fact that they wanted to take it to new markets and
Bellerive?
and not go back.
They're going to Bellerive?
Yeah, St. Louis. Yeah. Okay, back to the Memorial Tournament. I do want to focus in on charity for 1 minute, and maybe I'll give you a rest for a second, and then.
I love the charity aspect. I mean, when we raised this guy, I mean, he has helped raise $60 million. I mean, over time, he's been a facilitator of that and helping Jack and Barbara, who of course tireless with charity. So if you want to talk about charity, I'll listen all day.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: that they had this great idea in the beginning of, as I said before, of supporting local charities. Nationwide Children's, then Columbus Children's was the focus on it. When I became director 25 years ago, with the team we had in place, we really made an effort to just try to figure out ways to use the tournament as a backdrop and a platform to bring people together to raise money for the hospital and raise awareness. So we took some steps to make sure that every year during the Golf Channel and CBS broadcast, we are highlighting Nationwide Children's Hospital. So if you watch this year, you'll see what they call vignettes that call out the fact that we have this relationship and the incredible asset in Nationwide Children's. We focus in on what we call the Nicholas U. Spirit Award recipient, which is an individual who has gone through some traumatic experience, had to go through the hospital, and has come out as a kind of advocate for children's health. So we had this opportunity to use the tournament as a backdrop to highlight Nationwide Children's Hospital. And then we started creating events that are around it. So I mentioned earlier we had the Legends Luncheon that raised $1.5 million on Tuesday afternoon for an hour-and-a-half lunch that we had over 700 people go to. And it's just 70 companies from around Central Ohio who see it as an opportunity to give something back, and they like to align with the Memorial Tournament to do that. Most of you probably familiar with our 4-miler. Hopefully it doesn't compromise your traffic flow for one night. But that's a great event that we have over 2,500 people come out and run and raise money. We have a concert this year with Luke Bryan downtown at Kemba Live, where we've sold out now. We'll announce that tomorrow, and raise significant money by having Luke come in and do a concert, and all the money goes to Nationwide Children's and mental health advocacy. And so just along the way, we've been able to create events that bring, again, awareness and funding to the hospital. And at the center of all of it are, now we have 3,900 volunteers. If anybody was out yesterday in Dublin, beautiful day, but an absolute nightmare of traffic over on around the roundabout. And that was because the farmer's market was great, but we had 3,000 people come pick up their volunteer packets yesterday. And we did it at the Exchange, and we do that every year. All those 3,000 people, now it's 3,900 people, commit over 65,000 hours to support the Memorial Tournament to do our job. And we do that because we need it, number one. The Memorial Tournament's one of the last places where we have our own manual scoreboards. Instead of doing electronic, we haven't replaced people yet. We have people out there putting up the magnetic numbers and letters. We run our own concessions. That takes a lot of people. So because all those people come, we make a contribution to Nationwide Children's in their honor and in recognition of the amount of hours they work on behalf of the tournament. The idea of hours for donation is not unique on the PGA Tour, but I think we take it to a level that no one else is even remotely close to it. And we are indebted to those people. They're generationally, we have people who are coming back to support this hospital, to support the Memorial Tournament. It's now on to grandkids from the beginning, and we're really indebted to all of these people who dedicate their time and talent and energy against it. We have 6 people this year that we're honoring as our Volunteer of the Year, who have volunteered at every single Memorial Tournament. So they're going to volunteer at their 51st this year. So really remarkable.
It really is.
We're indebted to them. And not surprisingly, they're all ladies. Number one. So, but they are great people, and their families support it. And it identifies them. It identifies all these volunteers. They truly see this as their tournament, which it is. And we try to make sure that we're paying attention, that they're doing the job that they're assigned to do. But we're also trying to make sure we're paying attention to that they have fun, that they enjoy it, and they see the reward of their work and a great championship and great funds going to the hospital.
Well, I mean, it blows you away when you think about that, and you think about the charity, the volunteer aspect. I mean, these are ladies. They're basically a carryover from the old Columbus Pro-Am that was held at Scioto for a number of years, and then that benefited the hospital. And then a lot of those ladies came from there
From the Twigs?
Yeah, from the Twigs to volunteer at the Memorial Tournament. And so it's a great tradition that's been around a long time and very meaningful. One other number to throw out at you, and that's $400 million. And that is the number that the Nicklases really have been responsible for in terms of money raised for children's health care in their lives, going back to the start of the Memorial Tournament and benefiting, their hospital in Miami and so forth. But that number just, I mean, I can't even think about a number like that and how much effort that has taken. And of course, charity is, means a lot to the Nicklases.
Yes, no question. All right, we'll talk about the memorial in present day, and if you do have any questions, start thinking about them. We'll open up for questions in a minute here. So just this week when we had Jack and Jackie in town, we had our media day, and we spent 2 days with them. David and I spent 2 days with the Nicholas family, just reminiscing a little bit, but also looking forward to this year's tournament. It's amazing to me that the Memorial's been able to hold true to his original idea of what the tournament should be, evolve to the point where now we have a next generation of golf fans that want to be a part of this event, that want to come out. You've seen plenty of tournaments who lost their way, who lost their appeal to the local market and have become less than what they were. Mm-hmm. The Memorial Tournament is actually more than what it was. It's actually in a great position for growth. There's plenty going on in the PGA Tour right now. With the creation of LIV, now the demise of LIV, thankfully, and the move forward with a day when we don't have Jack Nicklaus here, but the tournament is set up in a way that we have tremendous opportunity for growth for a couple reasons, and maybe you have more than this, but the golf course is centerpiece. Players love playing this golf course. I don't care what generation of player you are. This golf course stands the test of time. Players want to play here. They love playing on this date for us. They love playing at the end of May, beginning of June. Ultimately, we want to be starting on Memorial Day, 2 weeks before the U.S. Open. This year, we're 2 weeks before the U.S. Open. We started a week after Memorial Day, only because we need to follow the U.S. Open. And the calendar gets weird every once in a while, where Father's Day is really late, and that's where the USGA puts the U.S. Open, and Memorial Day is really early. So that happened this year. We'll go back to starting on Memorial Day starting next year. So we have a golf course, we have a date, we have a sponsor and workday, extremely important. We have the support of the local community, extremely important. Not many tournaments have that combination. And so we're really fortunate to be able to sit here at the 50th anniversary and proudly state and accurately state we're stronger than we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, and we're in a great position to move forward. And the last thing I'll say before I hand it over to Dave is, the tour is changing a ton. We're a signature event right now. That designation is going to evolve over time, but we have it, and with every conversation that I have, that Jack Nicklaus has from the PGA Tour, the Memorial Tournament will be an anchor tournament on the tour for years to come. And we're working to make sure that that's the case, whether Jack's here or not. And because it's important for Jack's legacy, it's important for the PGA Tour, it's extremely important for this community and for Central Iowa. We always throw a number around of $45 million in economic impact every single year, but it's kind of everyone in this room I think knows. I mean, the Memorial helped and Muirfield Village help create Dublin and help grow it and help continue it in its place. It does its part in making sure that Dublin is recognized as a world-class community and a place where people want to be. And so we're really proud of that, and it's safe to say that the Memorial continues to focus on that as one of its ultimate expectations, and I think we're in a pretty good spot.
Well, I would agree, and like you said, the Memorial is really in a place where it will go on and be great. Whenever Jack Nicklaus passes on, and whenever we pass on, and more than anything, the most important thing is we'll always still have the milkshakes. So I mean, we will have that.
Won't be lost.
Yes, that won't be lost. Look, I mean. Dan mentioned the Memorial Tournament being a signature event. That was sort of a designation that, they threw out a few years ago to sort of make it sound like it was more important. And I'd made the argument in writing that since the start, it's always been a signature event. It's had the signature of Jack Nicklaus on it. And that in and of itself is more important than anything else that the PGA Tour could possibly do to try and elevate us. We don't need to be elevated. We're the standard. And I think Jack even said it the other day. He said, there are a lot of tournaments that look to the Memorial Tournament and really, copy what Dan and Jack and everybody that, organizes the Memorial Tournament, what they do. And so if you're being copied, then you're probably in a place where you're at the top of the game. What happens ultimately with the schedule and everything else? I mean, the PGA Tour has a lot to figure out, and that's just one piece of it, is sort of how their vision of a new schedule is. But the Memorial Tournament's always going to be one of the top 2 or 3 tournaments that they have.
Yeah, and we're going to try to make sure that we continue that.
No questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
Let me grab that mic, Dan.
Okay,
That
you
way
got
if
it.
they want to ask.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
You have to share your.
Okay, no worries. I can yell.
Believe me, I can yell.
I really like that thought about, the tournament will go on. And I'm a 25-plus year resident of Dublin. One of the reasons I moved here was because of the establishment of the Fairfield Golf Village and PGA Tour and all that. But one of the things I was really just impressed and amazed about was the very beginning of COVID. Somehow, you all were the first sports event to continue.
Yeah.
You didn't get shut down.
Right.
You guys made it work.
Not only made it work,
I'm
but
kind of curious, what were some of the key things or hurdles you had to overcome, or
Yeah.
was it working with the governor, how did you make that happen?
let me just say this before Dan answers that. Not only did they have a tournament, but they had 2 tournaments back to back.
That's right, a week apart.
And Dan can get into exactly how that came off and how they did it. How did you do it?
Yeah, that's how we found Workday. So I will say this: I had no clue what we were doing, but we went to work. Like no one had any idea what COVID, what we were facing with COVID. So when the governor shut down the state, I have to admit something. Instead of staying at home with my 4 kids and my wife, I drove to work every day and sat in my office because I was isolated. No one else was there. We started working on. We had no clue what was going to happen, when it was going to happen. It was it was March, right?
It was
March. So in March, we were still, the date was Memorial Day, end of May, beginning of June. And so we went to work saying, well, this can't last. It's going to be a couple weeks, then we'll be back to normal. And I had no clue what we were doing. But as we started to figure out it was going to last, and the governor started talking about ways that people were going to get back to their normal lives, we wrote a 50-page plan on how we'd have fans come back. First of all, we thought we could do it because we were outside. We were not inside. And then second, we were naive enough to say, well, let's just create quadrants around the golf course where we could measure it out, and we'd have enough spacing for people, and we'd limit the number of tickets so that we could have little circles around the golf course where people could enter and watch and keep separated. I mean, completely naive, and we're like, I don't know, let's give it a shot. So we did. We wrote it all up. We gave the reasons why it made sense. We tried to. We actually brought in a couple of nationwide children's infectious disease people to help us say the right thing and how to say it and what to say. We brought in the Franklin County health advisor there. We brought all these people together who helped us kind of navigate how this thing would look like. We submitted it to the governor, and he accepted it. He said, you'll be the first event to come back. Along the way, we moved from the end of May to beginning of June, and it was now going to be in July, if you guys remember. We actually had the tournament in July. The PGA Tour is reluctant to admit it or accept it, but they kept on saying, all right, you got your governor approval, keep going. This is in June. And then I got a call from the PGA Tour saying, hey, we are going to bring another event to Ohio to play at Firestone because the John Deere tournament is shutting down in Moline, Illinois, and we want to bring it to Ohio so they don't have to travel as far. So it's an easy commute. And I just said, well, why don't you just do them both here instead of having them travel? And they're like, why would you do that? I said, I don't know, because why don't we give it a shot? Let's do them back to back. And so the original plan was, I went to Mr. Nicholas. Jack was planning on closing the golf course after the Memorial Tournament to redo the entire thing. If you guys remember that, we completely changed the golf course. So we went to the PGA Tour and said, give us the replacement event first, and then the Memorial Tournament. The replacement event will have no fans, the Memorial will, and that's how we'll contribute to bringing the tour back. And they accepted that for a minute, and then ultimately they came back to us 10 days before the Memorial and told us you're not allowed to have fans. The PGA Tour did, not the state. And so we had to go to everyone who bought tickets.
Yeah.
We had to go back to everyone who bought tickets and tell them, we're refunding your money, and you can't come out here. And so that was nuts. I mean, it was the craziest thing. We spent 2 weeks running golf tournaments that no one saw except for television. I always joke it was like running a junior golf tournament because all these guys are in shorts, they're playing golf, and no one's there to see them. No one had. But the one thing I did do on the Workday event, which was the first one, that's how we met Workday. We wouldn't let any of the players have a milkshake during that event because the milkshakes are tied to the Memorial Tournament, and they were so mad at me. I'm like, you guys got to qualify, you got to come in. So that's the long story.
No, very interesting.
Excellent story.
Fabulous business.
I didn't know the Firestone aspect, by the way.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Johnny Carson.
I'm a lifelong Dublin resident. My dad and my brother used to hunt pheasants on the property
Wow.
up there. So
Wow.
now to look at it now and think that there aren't any pheasants around here.
No, they got them all.
Yeah, well, no, they went others. My question is about the state of golf, and that is, you mentioned a few things, but signature events and $20 million purses and no-cut events and limited fields were all forced on the PGA because they didn't want guys to go to LIV.
Yeah.
What happens when LIV explodes? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that is a great question, and I'll start by saying I don't know, but I would predict that the purses won't grow as exponentially as they've had. Number one, as long as we don't get another unreasonable competitor, and that's what LIV Golf is. Saudi Arabians threw so much money at it that they disrupted the sport. It was totally unreasonable, and it had no merit for success. There was no way they were going to be successful in it. It was all just throwing money at something and trying to gain some kind of credibility. So our $20 million purse today is, I mean, I'd say too much money based on our sport. But we're here. They're not going to retract it. But the growth will be far slower going forward. And so you'll see the growth, but it won't be anywhere close. The field size, I guarantee you, will get bigger.
It will.
We're at 72 players right now. You'll see future future fields, probably starting in 28, that will get a little bit bigger along the way.
Probably close to 100.
Yeah.
Are we going to state the cuts?
So we're lucky to have a cut, right? And so I fought really hard on behalf of Mr. Nicholas in the tournament to have a cut. So we're one of 3 tournaments in this signature series that have cuts. We think it's really important that there's consequence with the competition. And so does Jack. He looks at me, he says this a lot. He's like, look, that's your battle to fight. I'm done fighting it. I'm like, I'll carry it. Because it's right. That's what Jack Nicklaus is a really simple mindset when it comes to golf. You start off the first tee, and the best player wins, and you have a cut along the way because that's how you separate the good players from the average. We're going to keep on fighting for cuts. And the other two events that are cuts, how we got this done with the tour is that the Jack Nicklaus tournament, Arnold Palmer's tournament, and Tiger Woods tournament are the three tournaments with cuts in the Signature Series. So we separated based on the player-hosted events.
And they're invitationals.
And, well, they were. They're not anymore. I mean, it's you're on your way
Technically,
in
right.
now.
Yeah,
Right.
right. That's true.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what the prize money was for the first tournament in '76?
Yeah, so we had this big debate earlier this week, and I was completely wrong. I was over by $200,000. It was $200,000.
40,000 to Roger Maltby for first place.
Yes.
Or as I reminded him the other day, I talked to him on the phone. I said, "Hey, Raj, that's 1% of what the winner will get next."
Exactly right.
And he
1%.
goes, "Are you trying to tick me off?"
I will say this: look for this week or this tournament. Look for Roger Maltby. So he won the first tournament, '76.
There you go.
He is on the Golf Channel's broadcast team for signature events, so he'll be here. We had him earlier in the week as part of our Legends Luncheon with David Graham, and we presented him a pair of pants. If you guys didn't see this, in 1976, he wore the ugliest pants you could ever imagine in your life.
Just about.
And they were, I didn't realize this until this week, that the pants were in honor of the bicentennial.
Right.
They had flags on them, and they were red and blue and white, and just a matchless pair of pants. And so
That's a good description.
Yeah. What we ended up doing is we got his pant size, waist and length from the Golf Channel, and we got those pants recreated. We remade them for him. And so we presented it to him on Tuesday, and he's going to wear it Friday of the broadcast, Friday of the tournament, and walk around and kind of celebrate his win. And now it's the 250 birthday of America.
Good
so
timing.
it fits in perfectly.
It does.
That's what you do with 50 years.
And by the
Added.
way, he might wear them again on Sunday. He told me.
Oh yeah,
Might
Great.
wear them again.
Awesome.
And I said, "Are they pretty close to the replica?" He said, "Yeah, they pretty much got it just pretty close."
So we try to have fun, and the other thing we've done every year we commission a stuffed bear.
The bear.
That benefits Nationwide Children's, and this year's bear is called, you're wearing the t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's called Maltby. We called it Maltby, and the bear has Roger Maltby's outfit that he wore in '76.
Blue shirt.
Blue shirt and mattress pants.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
just want to know the Arnold Palmer person is that lemonade and iced tea drink?
Yes.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay.
He was a golfer that created an
Yes.
iced tea lemonade combo that everyone loves.
Okay.
By accident, actually. I mean,
You know it.
I know the story. If you want to hear it.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear the story? Okay, so this is back in the early '60s when Arnold was living in Latrobe still, and he was out and he was practicing, and his wife Winnie made some lemonade, and she'd also made some iced tea. And Arnold couldn't decide really, and he's like, "Honey, why don't you put a little bit of each in there?" And so they kind of play with it, and he took it out on the golf course and came back and said, "Honey, that was so good. And, we got to keep making that." Fast forward, he's at a bar in California, and he tells the bartender, "I want a lemonade and iced tea mixed together." Okay? And there's a woman, of course, she knows who Arnold Palmer is, but she's a woman at the bar overhearing him saying, "This is what I want." And so the bartender then, of course, turns to her and she says, "I would like an Arnold Palmer." And Arnold's like, "Wait a minute." And then another few years go by and friends of his say, "Hey, Arnold, put it in a can." And that's where they are now.
He made a lot of money.
Oh, and they're still making a lot of money from it.
Yeah.
Put it in the can.
I have two questions about the time when he was building the course. One, did he build it and get enough land to build it for the expansion of length of players and everything for today? Did he plan for that up in advance?
I asked him that the other day at lunch. Yeah, I actually said, "Did you foresee having to, when you designed the golf course, did you leave room on purpose predicting, how far the golf ball might go and so forth. And he kind of looked at me, he's like, how was I going to predict how far the golf ball was going to go? I said, well, you were talking about it even then. You were worried about the distances that golf balls traveled. And look, Bobby Jones was complaining about it in the 30s. But he said, no, I didn't really design it with that in mind. But over time, obviously, he has adjusted for that. And he's fortunate that he had the space.
And at what point during the building of the course and acquiring of land and everything, did he know he had a PGA Tour event? Do you know?
So, I think I have this right. When we were building the golf course, he was having the conversation with Joe Dye of bringing the tournament to creating the tournament. I think that he had the date in his mind and he had the tournament in his mind as he was creating the golf course.
That's correct. And then he subsequently, when Joe Dye stepped down and Dean Beeman became the commissioner, Jack wrote a very long proposal letter to the PGA Tour and Dean Beeman explaining the Memorial Tournament concept, that they even intended to hope to, the Captain's Club would honor Bobby Jones in the first year, and that it would be an invitational tournament. And then, of course, spelling out all of the various ways in which, the event would be basically elevated. It would be it would have the excellence that he wanted.
Yes, sir.
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
Maybe the younger people don't realize this, but back in the late 60s and early 70s, this place was not like it is today. And when I heard the rumor that Jack's building a golf course around here, I would drive around and going,
Where?
this is crazy.
Where is it, right?
Yeah, right. So it's a lot different.
Well, yeah, and back then too, and Jack loves to tell that story, where Columbus didn't have water running out to Dublin.
That's right.
And Jack arranged for Columbus to run water sewer out to Muirfield Village. And it was only recently I discovered why Dublin didn't have it, and that was because there was a group of farmers who sued the city of Columbus to not have water and sewer running out here. They didn't want it, which was interesting. But Jack foresaw, and by the way, Jack had a chance to, what is the community near here? Something Hills. What is it? There you go. There was a meeting in which Jack had to attend, in which they were going to decide if Muirfield, the village of Muirfield, as well as Muirfield Village, would be in Shawnee Hills or Dublin. Jack, in that meeting, said, I want Muirfield Village to be in Dublin. And lo and behold, they listened to him. So they had this lawsuit, and they couldn't get water out to Muirfield Village through Dublin. They wouldn't allow it. So Jack said, well, forget that. I'm just going to have it run straight out there. And then they piped it back into Dublin. The lawsuits were settled and so forth. But these are some of these hurdles that Jack had to deal with over time.
Yeah, the one thing I'd say is the Memorial Tournament in Dublin kind of mutual benefit each other, right? I mean,
Very much.
The Memorial was this great thing coming to town and had all this world recognition that was coming with it. But Dublin was a place that was going to explode, and no one knew how it was going to explode, but it was going to explode in growth, and Columbus was going to grow. I'll say it again, I mean, we are kind of a perfect marriage between tournament and community.
Yeah.
That everyone recognizes. It's just what Dublin has done over the years to grow all over the place. And the Memorial for 1 week out of the year gets to benefit from all that infrastructure that was put in place. Right, Mayor? Yes. All that infrastructure. I will tell you this. The advent and the creation of Bridge Park has totally changed the way the Memorial Tournament operates. We are so connected with that. The ability to have free parking, the ability to do what we did on Saturday with our volunteers, have a place to go, for our players to have a place to have, there's more than one restaurant, there's more than one hotel, there's more than one place, one thing to do. The Four Fests that we collaborate with the city and Crawford Horn on, all that's so unique to us here in this community. And I go to every other tournament, and so do you, on the PGA Tour. there aren't anything like this. I mean, you go to
No,
Augusta,
there really
you go to
is not.
Augusta National, and it is a pain. I mean, it is so hard to get around and so hard to connect with people. But this, you know exactly where everything is, and it's so well laid out. You know, the little things like the amount of acreage that we kept on property to park cars for free, but then have the overflow ability to go over the Columbus Zoo and have the Columbus Zoo so close to us, and then have this ability to mutually benefit, like I said before,
Yeah.
Bridge Park. And Bridge Park gets a lot of benefit out of the memorial, and we get a lot of benefit out of it. And Dublin's the same way. We get a ton of benefit from the city of Dublin, and the city of Dublin gets a ton of benefit out of us. And I think that mutual respect and benefit has really helped us grow as a tournament.
Well said. Well said.
Yep, go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Dan,
Yes, Bob?
you mentioned this is a anchor event, and now it's a signature event.
Yeah.
Where are they with the discussion of it becoming a major?
Well, you got to ask who they is, right? Because that's the biggest question. Because majors, David's much more well versed in this than I am, but I'd say this: that my opinion is, if the Memorial becomes a major, it's going to be in a period when Jack's no longer here, and the golf world says he deserves a major championship in his name. That's what I think.
Good.
Well, they've been talking about this since the start. I mean, Jerry McGee, an Ohio native who played in the first Memorial, I mean, he was trying to make the argument after the first one. It's like, if this isn't a major, I don't know what is. And, you know, it was already defined as such just by the presentation of what Jack had brought here. Jack himself has always said, you don't create a major, you know, it sort of evolves into one. So Dan's
Right.
correct. If it does, it'll evolve. And then they is a fairly nebulous group.
I think it's players, it's writers,
It's media, it's fans.
It's fans, it's the governing bodies. There are 5 families of golf and
Yeah.
professional golf, right?
Yeah.
And come together and say Jack deserves one, and
Yeah.
Muirfield Village Golf Club is where it should be.
So, we'll see. Does it deserve it? Well, I mean, you know, Dan and I could sit up here and make a pretty good argument that it does. But
I will say, I think the Memorial is a major in every way except the designation.
And Jim Furyk actually said that, and you'll read it in the history book that's coming out in a couple of weeks. That Jim Furyk says, in my mind, it is a major because of just simply what it is, regardless of whether you call it that or not.
Yeah, and that's because of the golf course, the time of year when it's played, the history that it has, and the way people support it.
Yeah.
If we didn't have all these people coming out and supporting this tournament, it would not be anything what it is today.
No.
Right? It has to. The energy has to come from the fans, and we're lucky enough to have so many fans come out and support this.
We are, and I've been to almost 500 golf tournaments in my life, and I hate to even admit that I've spent that much time on different golf courses all over, and I've been to 40 of these, and it's hard to find another tournament this good. There are tournaments I love to go to, but when you just add it all up like he did, it's pretty hard to beat.
And I want to close too with Dan's team. We've been working with them. Everybody's aware we have a history museum now. And I've been working with Heather and his team since August of last year. That exhibit is opening Friday the 15th. We've got a pair of Roger Maltby's pants there. And the shirt. Heather and her team had 2 pairs made, one to give to Roger, and then the other one came to us, so we're going to have those on display. Jack Nicklaus's museum, we got a trophy from them. We got former winners golf clubs to display. We've got a caddy jumpsuit, but the most important thing is, as we were to work out with Dan's team, is we basically are telling that whole story of Jack's vision, and then the land development, and then all the players and champion, but then also Barbara's work with the volunteerism. So we're telling that whole story in the exhibit down here, so people want to come and see it. It opens Friday.
Nice.
We got a lot of work to do, but I got to thank Dan and his team. They were just
Thank you, Mike.
amazing. Yeah.
A nice partnership.
And I tell you what, let me just add on to that, as I've mentioned about how many tournaments I've been to. I mean, when you talk about well-run tournaments where you come to Muirfield Village, you don't hear the word no, you don't have any questions about what's going on with this or this or this. There's never any problems that you encounter. Now, problems develop. I mean, it's just human nature, things happen and so forth. And they know how to deal with those too. And it's pretty special, and that's why Jack has so much trust in Dan and HNS Sports and Dan's team.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Um,
Great teamwork.
Oh,
I got one
Yes.
question. Do the players have to pay an entrance fee?
They do not. Well, yes, they do. They pay a $100 fee that's been around for 50 years.
I mean,
It's
is
the
that
silliest
all
thing in the
golf
world.
courses,
Say that again?
all golf courses, all golf matches?
All golf tournaments on
Yes.
the PGA Tour. Yes.
I've always
Right.
wondered if they
Yeah.
had to pay an
Yeah.
entrance fee.
And it's a long held little thing that they do, and I don't know why they do it, but they do.
I understand.
We don't.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Dave.
Thank you, folks.
Mike, thank you.
We look forward to your book, right?
Well, yes.
First of all, thank you for coming out on a Sunday
Yes.
afternoon. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I'll say it again. We cannot be more proud of our relationship with Dublin. It is about as good as it gets. It is as good as it gets. And we're really proud of what we've been able to create together. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you the week of June 1st. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.